Let's go ahead and do the introductions again. I'm Jim Michalis, Chair of the committee. Chris?
Tschirki, Public Works Director.
Brent, Tobler, resident.
Mike Whimpey, resident.
Robert Moore, member of the commission.
Thane Carter, Fleet Manager of Orem City.
And presenting to us today.
Yes.
April Nielson, Administrative Assistant.
Ryan Johnson, wastewater, water reclamation. Introduce yourself. Introduce.
Oh, I can't hear, so.
Oh, okay.
I'm handicapped, so you gotta speak loud. My name's Dave Haskell. I work with fleet technician, been here about 10 years.
I'm Robbie Conder, fleet mechanic.
My name is Tyler Peay. I'm an assistant public works director over public services.
Okay, welcome. Do we have a motion for the approval of the minutes?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Great, that was quick and easy then.
That was very quick. I have to admit, when Mike introduced himself, I thought he said president and not resident. I'm like,
Oh, no.
Well, why not? Okay.
Self-appointed
so, president.
Okay.
of nothing.
Yeah.
Of my household.
I don't think, I have a few people disagreeing with that even,
All right, we turn the time over to you then.
Okay. Thank you for this opportunity. Again, my name is Thane Carter. I'm the Fleet Manager here at Orem City. I've been here 19 years, 11 years as a fleet mechanic, and then 8 years as the Fleet Manager. And I'll go through this. I've got a presentation put together here. We'll go through it all, or as far as we get until the time's up. So
Maybe we should ask from the very beginning, just so you know, for time management perspective, would you all like to visit or to see our fleet shop at the end of this? If so, then we may need to cut something out or at least skip through some other things.
okay.
Would you like to see that or just go through the presentation? We'd be more than happy to do either way.
Any
I
thoughts?
have another meeting at 8:30.
Okay.
It won't be that long a presentation.
Yeah. Okay.
Other than that,
let's go through what you have.
Okay.
Okay. So our mission statement: to provide the highest quality, value-based fleet maintenance services for the city of Orem in a timely and cost-effective manner. And here our support staff, I'm fleet manager, and you met Robbie. Here's our lead mechanic, and David's one of our mechanics. The other 3 mechanics are in the shop. 2 of them are going to be taking a test here this morning. We'll talk about that here in a few minutes. So I think they're probably doing a little bit of studying. So anyway, we have 1 heavy-duty mechanic, 1 small, medium-duty equipment mechanic, 2 light-duty vehicle mechanics. We have a fleet apprentice. We hired her on about a month ago, and she comes in the afternoon. She goes to UVU in their automotive program and comes and helps us in the afternoon. And then we have 2 front office administrators. You know April here. She's here every month of the meeting, and Jill. They help us out a ton with all our purchase orders and fielding the vendors that come in and fuel cards and a lot of different things to help us move forward back there in the shop. Just I'd like to talk about the training, some of the training certifications we hold. 5 of us are ASC automotive master technicians. 3 of us are medium heavy duty master technicians. 2 of the mechanics hold EVT certifications. I wanted to put the full name in there, but the acronym fit a little better. But emergency vehicle technician, Robbie and Parker are heavy truck mechanic are certified in both pumps and ladders and accessories on our fire trucks. And then Sean and John went to some training last week for 2 days up at Pierce, the fire truck manufacturer company, and they're gonna go take the test at 10 this morning to also become certified. So 4 of us have our commercial driver licenses. We are all Utah safety inspectors certified, even though that kind of went by the wayside about 5 years ago for the state. Commercial vehicles are required. Fleet is kind of in the middle. Are we commercial? Are we not? We still elect to hold our certifications, and when we complete a safety inspection, we go and complete, just like if you took your car to like you did back to the day of the shop, the form and everything is certified. And we have our emissions machine. We complete emissions on all vehicles that we need to have those completed on. And we have multiple other trainings and certificates that we go to when training becomes available. Our objectives: to control the overall cost of operating and maintaining the city's fleet of vehicles and equipment, maintain vehicles and equipment in a manner that extends their useful life, control the growth and size of the fleet, standardize the composition of the fleet where possible, accurately budget for maintenance and replacement costs. Description of services. These are similar to the last slide. Maintain and repair all of the city's vehicles and equipment. Manage inventories of all vehicles and equipment. Assist in the purchasing and upfitting of new vehicles. Surplus vehicles and equipment. Our fleet size, we have 1,282 vehicles or even pieces of equipment, clear down to our a chainsaw or weed whacker. And I have a slide representing each of these numbers here, so we'll go to the next slide here. 361 total vehicles. Some of the figures there: six fire trucks, 15 dump trucks, 104 pickups. I didn't think we had quite that many, but 9 ambulances, 8 sewer trucks, 79 patrol vehicles, 3 street sweepers, and then 111 that I don't have included in those numbers there. Equipment, I counted twice on trailers. I couldn't believe we had 95 trailers, but that includes box trailers, flat deck trailers, even our traffic trailers. Police have 4 of those, and then our traffic section has, I don't know, maybe 10 of those. Riding lawnmowers, we have 4 large gang mowers, 16-foot mowers. You probably see those out in the parks, and we have 56 other riding lawnmowers. 8 backhoes, loaders, excavators, and then you see we have 1 grader. And then the small equipment. You'll see here some pictures of, we'll just go look at the picture. There's a tamper that they go and pack the dirt after they dug a hole in the ground and fixed the pipe. Here's a trash pump on the left there, bottom, to help pump the water out of the hole. Over here, that's a little ball field striper that we've had, a few months this spring maybe? Or did we get it last fall?
It was running last year.
Last year?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a little robot. They can go out there, and I believe after the first time, they can get the coordinates, and it just kind of goes and paints the field, and yeah.
It does a great job. I've been out there and checked, and you would think it might get bumpy and a little wavy. It's a pretty dang straight line the whole way for ball fields, for soccer, baseball, softball.
And so you do all the fields?
Yeah, all sports fields.
Definitely different than the way it used to be done with paint cans or whatever they did. Here's a seeder that was purchased this spring to go and reseed areas that are high traffic, maybe by the gullies of the soccer or things like that. So in the shop, we have a variety of tools and equipment. If you'd like to come and tour the shop at the end, we're more than welcome to come out there with us. I've included a few pictures of equipment and made a list of we have lifts and tire machine, tire balancer, torch press, exhaust fan here. We have these fans in our bay that we can turn on, and it'll suck the exhaust clear up through the ceiling and keep us from breathing exhaust fumes all day. Diagnostic equipment. We have both factory tools and aftermarket tools. This here's a picture of the laptop with the Ford OE diagnostic tool, IDS.
Most of your vehicles Fords then?
No, we have more than any other manufacturer, but if I threw out a number, we probably have 65% Ford, and then we have 20-30% GM, and maybe 10 or 15% Dodge. Anyway, and then of course all the other manufacturers with dump trucks and fire trucks and stuff. Service and repair manuals, most of those are all electronic now. We actually sold off our old motor manuals about a couple of years ago. That's what I started with early on in my career, some of that, but we just never used them anymore. They were outdated. We have all data, Mitchell's for a heavy truck. We have the actual Ford PTS website, which is very helpful for OE diagrams, and the GM is also very helpful. Mac, Navistar, and then when you get to small equipment, they don't have quite as good of a format for that, but we get paper manuals, electronic manuals, and sometimes on a thumb drive with the vehicle. Parts purchasing, we purchase around $500,000 in parts annually. The warehouse helps us with about $150,000 of that with tires and different things that they stock for us to have on hand immediately when we need those parts. And then we outsource, or we take advantage of Utah State contract pricing and get quite a bit better price than if you came in off the street to buy those parts. Listed down here on the bottom, aftermarket parts. These are some of the companies we work regularly with parts, but there's a lot more than just the ones listed here. In-house repairs, safety inspections, tune-ups, brakes, suspension, a lot of diagnostics, the equipment, a lot of the upfitting, like patrol cars, we don't do the upfitting on those. Ambulances we don't, but a lot of the like you see the public works vehicles with the light bar and the lights, the simpler setups we do. Yet on the flip side, anything we have, we do diagnose and fix. So even if it wasn't set up in the shop, you'll see here a couple interesting pictures. Here's a brake rotor that came off a fire truck that we got all of our life out of and then some. And we should have another smooth surface on the other side here. That rotor's worn about halfway through. That was interesting. Here's a generator, then one of the lift pumps for the treatment plant. And there was concern that maybe things were getting a little too hot there. I thought that it was running a little rich and we maybe had some issues there, but when they talked to the factory rep, and he said that was normal.
So do you service your diesel engine generators?
We
at
don't.
Pump houses?
We don't. That's outsourced. They also come, and part of the reason it's outsourced is because they also come and check the generator out, and we don't have the certification or training for that, or the tools, so this kind of goes together.
I assume that's pretty hot. I assume you have signs and things to kind of help employees not touch stuff like that?
It's
or?
enclosed as well.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
Yeah, this is a, yeah.
We had a fire at the water district from a backup generator where it penetrated through the roof and there wasn't sufficient insulation between the roofing material and the stack, and had a fire, so it's good to...
Well, hopefully we don't have one of those. So our safety inspection standard, we inspect all of our vehicles annually, and then when police and On the patrol vehicles, the ambulances, fire trucks, we also do a semi-annual inspection. Those vehicles are run hard and get a lot of miles. So we have an inspection form here that we go through on each of our vehicles. Oh boy.
I must not have access to that. So I signed in. Oh, okay.
We may be able to pull it up another way here in a minute. Here's a maintenance standard that we use when we do a safety inspection. I call them safety inspections that we also go through and complete all the maintenance that needs to be done beyond an oil change. And so the transmission, it may need to be serviced, brakes, air filter, fuel filter if it's equipped. Most vehicles don't have fuel filters anymore on cars and pickups anyway. It's all in the tank. Tires, 5/32 you may think is, we still have some life left on the tires. And it kind of depends. If it's a vehicle that doesn't get driven a lot, we'll let it go another year. But if it's a vehicle that's driven regularly, our focus is to get the vehicle repaired and in the shop once a year or semi-annually twice a year and be ready to go and not have problems with tires or wipers or other things.
So this is what you do as a part of our own internal safety program,
Yes.
which is no longer required by the state for personal vehicles, right?
Yes.
So why the Crown Vics at a different, is that because they're police vehicles?
Yeah, and that's actually a little outdated now because we're pretty much done with Crown Vics. We have 3 or 4 in our fleet. But we found that about 60,000 miles, I believe, if we went 70 or 80,000, we'd usually have a misfire and a dead coil, and at 60,000 miles, you'd pull the spark plugs out, and unbelievable how large the gap was. I mean, they idle all day long and needed a tune-up earlier than most vehicles. So. Here's our Fleet Services main program. And let's go back out and see if we can access that one. Hopefully it should work here. This is an in-house program that was rolled out in about 2005. At that time when it was rolled out, I really believe it was ahead of its time. Now there are other programs, plenty of programs out there with additional features above and beyond what this program offers. But it's integrated with the city, with purchase orders, parts, the warehouse. Let's just go to a vehicle here.
This is an off-the-shelf, or this is a...
In-house.
In-house.
You developed this program in-house?
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's a Malibu that we have. Click on the details. Get some information about the VIN number, who drives the vehicle. April here. This is actually her vehicle. Anyway, when do we need to complete the maintenance? 4,000 miles. Safety inspection when it comes up due. We have a few notes we can put in. We don't have anything on this vehicle. Here's all the work orders that we've completed. You'll see, goes back for a long till we bought it. Flags. I can go in here and look at the time it's been in the shop for the year or for its life, how many gallons of fuel. Up here's the lifetime. Down here you can see each calendar year. Lifetime costs, so including fuel, shows that we've put $18,000 into this vehicle to keep it going. Sometimes when I see that, even on this Malibu, I says, that doesn't sound right, but usually if I go start dissecting and looking through it, no, it's accurate. Just adds up.
And it includes fuel too, though.
Yeah, includes fuel.
So.
Does that include purchase though?
Yeah. Yeah, we own this vehicle. In fact, let's just go to our oldest fire truck right now and let's see maybe we shouldn't do this, but let's see where we're at with that one.
Oh my gosh.
$460,000. It's a 2000, so I mean 23 years old, expected to have a lot
But
of.
when you put life cost there, is that also including your purchase cost of the vehicle?
No, that's
No, it's the maintenance, fuel maintenance,
Operations and
maintenance, repair, and fuel.
Hmm.
So fuel, we
which
put
a fuel is a big chunk, right?
$130,000 in fuel. But just to put tires on that fire truck, it's about $4,000 or $5,000, and you're looking tires. Its early life could be annually. Now it's probably every couple of years.
What would outside costs typically be for outside repairs that you typically don't do? Is that what that is on the right side?
Yeah, and that does include the parts and the labor. You know, just like taking your car to a shop, you're invoiced for the full repair. In fact, if we go here to outside, you can see, you know, some hoses, tires, St. Martin's, different things, NAPA parts, warehouse, wipers, radiator cap, brake cleaner, everything. All the fuel, fixed assets. Purchasing uses this to help to show the depreciation of the vehicle and do what they do with everything that we have with fixed assets. Workload, that when the job's complete, that goes into this queue here, that these are scheduled, there's a job order approval where Robbie does this. He goes through and makes sure that the work order looks accurate and approves them. And then we ought to cover these a little bit. Due service, if the vehicle is due for service, it'll populate on this screen. Robbie can then go out and reach out to the drivers of the vehicle to take it to either lube dock, and we'll talk about lube dock in a minute, or we need to schedule it in-house to have it serviced. And then the safety is similar. If it's due for a safety, it starts, it'll populate in this screen. Usually we go through this once a month and then send out reminders and schedule vehicles in.
So you're still using that program?
Yes. We're looking into other programs, but it's much more of a decision than just the fleet shop. I mean, we have the purchasing, and the whole city is kind of connected. In fact, we talked to a company last week, and they might could integrate and everything, but their idea was, we'll just have somebody enter in. You know, when you do the purchase order, they can enter in the information into our iWork site too. And I thought that April and Jill wouldn't be too happy about that, doing double work, and so it doesn't really make sense at the moment. But oil changes in-house, we have about 70 heavy-duty vehicles and 150 pieces of equipment that we service in-house. All the big trucks, pretty much medium-duty heavy trucks and equipment. Here's some examples right here. Some of those come in multiple times. For example, the jet rodder, the sewer truck, street sweepers, fire trucks. They do a lot of idling, a lot of hours, and they may come in for 2 or 3 oil changes a year. Other vehicles like this roller is probably once a year. Outsourced repairs. Here's a picture of an ambulance that got rear-ended on the freeway a couple of years ago that's being worked on. But we outsource body work, transmission, major engine, big tires, and some of the other things that we're just not effective or efficient to do in-house with all the workload that we have. So we contract with Lube Dock. You've probably seen them up there south of the city center, about 100 South State Street. And they service our vehicles. They do an oil change, check all the fluids, and even make recommendations if the check engine light's on, or if the tire, maybe they have a low tire, or they notice something else. It's not a big thorough inspection, but they'll, CV axle boot's torn, they'll make a recommendation and help us keep another set of eyes on the vehicles. We have about 295 vehicles that go to Lube Dock. They're your pickups, your cars, your ambulances, even up to the 5500 series trucks that they can fit inside their bay door. We have about 450 to 500 oil changes. Keep in mind some of those vehicles, especially patrol vehicles, they get a lot of miles, and so they'll be in getting an oil change maybe 2 or 3 times a year. They've been doing complete oil changes for us longer than I've worked here, and they've been really good to work with. We recently had to go back out with all the prices a year ago. The pricing did go up. It had to go up because of the price of oil. You've seen, the gas prices went up, so did oil, and we renegotiated another contract for up to 3 years. So
Do you bid that out though?
we did. We went out to bid, and we had 2 bidders that came in close, Jiffy Lube and Lube Doc, after annual. In fact, we even went up to Lube Doc with Robbie, or Jiffy Lube. Robbie went up, and Trevor, our purchaser, we went up and talked to him, and because going to a new company, we really got to make sure that they understand our requirements and processes. And we were really close to going with Jiffy Lube, but we awarded it to Lube Doc, and we committed to them for around another year and a half at least, and we'll go out to bid again. So one thing about that too is a lot of fleets do their maintenance and oil changes in-house, but it's much more convenient. We don't have a waiting room. If you have people come in and we're changing the oil, then they may be talking to me or Robbie and decreasing our productivity in the shop. Robbie and I, just a couple months ago, we were looking at the pricing here, and we said, gosh, I don't know if it's worth it to outsource it. So we started talking, okay, if we brought it in-house, we're paying this much for oil, we have to have a bay, we have to have a person, and after 5 minutes, we're like, no, we're doing the right thing. We already talked ourselves back out of it in 5 minutes that this is the right option and the best way for the city to continue to move forward right now. Quick Quack Car Wash, we've been using them for, around 7 years. They give us a great deal, $9 per month per vehicle, and they can go in there every day or unlimited washes. About 200 of our vehicles are signed up to go through the wash. We can't have vehicles with utility beds, or you get too big, they won't go through, or the brush will hit the bed inside and everything comes out. So multiple locations. Majority of them are washed here in Orem, yet we got officers that drive, live anywhere in the county, and they may stop into the one that's closer to their house or whatever they want to do. Recycling, we accept used oil and antifreeze from the general public. 5 gallons a day is what we accept. This is for personal use, not businesses to come and get rid of their oil and antifreeze. They need to use the proper channels for that. In-house tires and of course we have to recycle our tires, and then scrap metal. The fleet guidebook, we developed this 2 to 3 years ago. You can click on the link here, or if you guys have ever clicked on the Orem Walter, this is our in-house intranet, is that the right term?
Yeah.
For the Orem City. You can just hit quick links here. You'll see some different things, risk management time card, and there's the fleet guidebook. The fleet guidebook. This is for our customers, so anybody in the city who drives a vehicle, to help them understand the processes, contact information, who to talk to. You can click on any of these links here, and it'll take them directly there. And we'll go scroll through it for a minute here, if I can get the mouse to. We already talked about the mission and our objectives and description of services. Here's our hours and location. Contact information. Robbie is our first point of contact. He goes and schedules the work for the shop. If he's on vacation or not here, then the hat falls upon me. And if I'm not here, then the mechanics help us out, and that we continue forward. So Jill and April. Contacts are in there, especially for fuel cards and other concerns there. Car wash talks about what we just talked about. If your vehicle gets damaged at the car wash, what do you do? Tire repair, here's 3 shops that we use for tire repair and replacement here in town. Fuel cards, we'll talk a little bit more about fuel cards here in a minute, but new people that hire on don't understand some of the process with fuel cards. You gotta get a PIN number and how they work. That one's a little bit lengthy. Fuel and diesel exhaust fluid. Quick repairs, if you need wipers, your headlight's out, your battery's weak, there's some quick repairs. Check engine light's on, they can just stop in without an appointment and we'll help them right there. And sometimes, like a check engine light, we may decide that the vehicle needs to get parked, or we may decide, yeah, we're okay, we'll schedule it in for next week and we'll take a closer look or whatever. Oil changes, we talked about that. Safety inspections. Let's see if this works here on this link. Probably won't, but let's see. Request access. Probably not. Well, that's all right. Vehicle checklist, daily checklist. We'll talk about. It'll be more in the future, or in a minute here. Windshield repair. This needs to be updated. We're using another company called Glass America. Rock chips that used to be free we're now being charged $85 to have a rock chip repaired. We bought our own kit, went through a little bit of training, and we just do that in-house now. If you get in an accident, this is what you need to do. Recycling, motor pool vehicles uptown. We have a motor pool of 7 or 8 vehicles. So
Chris, do you have an accident review board?
Yes.
Just curious.
We call it ORC.
Okay.
Orem Risk Committee. They do all of the reviews. We also have, it starts with the supervisor and a team of immediate supervisors. They do a quick review. We bring it back to it elevates to our department review, and then it goes to a city review for if there's any discipline associated with it. They want to make sure that discipline is deemed appropriate, and then it's consistent with others in other departments throughout the city.
Do you put GPS on your vehicles?
We have Geotab. I think maybe you're going to be talking about that a little bit.
Yeah, that's coming up here in a minute.
Yeah, Geotab, it connects into the ODBC, and then it communicates information back. I think he's got a slide or two on that.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the time. I need to move it along a little quicker. So, recently we started completing our own license plate and registration in-house. It saves time. We can get the plates immediately rather than wait 1 to 3 weeks. And we also deal with concerns with paperwork that's quote lost in the mail, and that can slow us down significantly. And here it is, Geotab. In January this year, we put tracking devices on about 200 of our vehicles. And here's some of the reasons that we have went to this idea of tracking vehicles. Our main goal is to hopefully reduce accidents. But it notifies the supervisor. We also have it set up where it notifies the driver while they're driving the vehicle with audible beeps. If they're hitting certain speeds that are exceeding, or they're not wearing their seatbelt, it'll beep at them for a reminder.
We found that this has been a great tool for us to improve our safety and minimize risk. Thane also gets reports if a vehicle has a check engine light on or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It can transmit that data back to him. So he's aware, even though it may not be reported by the driver, it'll communicate that back to him then automatically. Thane mentioned that it'll beep for certain things. We can manually set that up for all of the vehicles or certain vehicles in a division or whatever to be different But we can make it so it'll beep if you're backing up. If you're driving off after 10 miles an hour, your seatbelt's not on, it will beep. It's not an annoying beep, but it will continue if you don't change your behavior. So we've noticed that it has started to change behaviors, and so we're pretty pleased with what it's done for us so far.
Is that a subscription service?
Yeah.
Yes.
And you said you have that's a little more than half of your vehicles. How are the vehicles determined, and has there been
Well, it wasn't
employee
good.
pushback and feeling like big brothers watching
Oh,
over?
there's some of that, yeah.
The police department, we aren't putting on most of their vehicles. So if they have a new driver or someone who's been involved in an accident, we put them on that vehicle. But so they have about 100 vehicles in their fleet. But yeah, you picked up on that. I wasn't going to cover that, but
Yeah, I know I put that on vehicles at UVU and helped out immensely, especially when it comes back, they've been doing 90 miles an hour, you know.
Mhm.
Then we just revoke their privileges, period.
Okay,
this in here it shows where you've been. This is my truck that we was taken to Salt Lake to some training last week. And,
Blue's a good color. If it starts turning yellow or orange or red, that means things speeding or
yeah,
doing something erratic that we need to correct. So
might have a sit down with the art committee
Yeah.
or committee.
What's the approximate cost of that service? Any off the top of your head? Do you know?
It's
A year?
about $18 a vehicle per month. So
Is it that high?
17ish, 18ish.
Yeah.
Might be more than 17. But. Fuel, we have like a credit card, fuel card in each of our vehicles that is used for fueling. The driver has to get their own PIN. It's kind of like your debit card PIN that you don't share, and that lets us know who filled up the vehicle and when. Most locations around the city accept this. The nice thing, the two here closest to us accept it. We have the fuel site right here, and then Chevron that went in here about a year ago. Fun fact about, we actually consume about 85,000 gallons of diesel in a year and about 150,000 gallons of gasoline. Right now we're just in the beginning of a study to see if it's feasible or the best interest of the city to get some on-site fuel tanks, potential savings in fuel, and an emergency response would be awesome.
That's a nightmare for EPA, though.
Yeah, I'm in the beginning stages of it, but I've heard
Yeah.
plenty of whisperings about that.
Yeah, we looked at that before too, and it's just cheaper to go out.
Well, and this shop here was built in, about 2007, and the decision at that time was obviously not to put tanks in, so.
We used to have tanks on site. On
Mhm.
our previous site, we made that decision consciously to move away from that for those reasons.
Yeah.
There
did
could
have
be a
an-
fuel savings, but there's other costs associated with that might make it cost prohibitive.
Do you monitor those fuel cards as far as there's somebody taking maybe a little more gas than they really ought to be taking?
We do every month. We go through and print out the fuel report. It's about 150 pages, and we have two different processes. Jill goes through and looks at it every page to see if she picks up on something. She often has about 20 or 30 little stickies there to look at. And then we have our fleet program that also monitors it. If they see that there's a discrepancy, meaning the the odometer entry was less than the previous one, that's a flag. Or if we extended this a little bit further, if it's 500 miles over the last one. I thought 400 was about right, but with the size of fuel tanks and sometimes the fuel economy, so that's another catch. We, myself or Robbie will go through the report, look through that, and a lot of them, most of them are just fat-fingered. You can even see that they changed the 2 digits, and we just move on. But we have some people that seem to continuously put in inaccurate information, and we have to reach out to them or their supervisors and see if we can get that resolved. But pre and post-trip inspections, anything that requires a CDL to drive the vehicle has a little QR code. Reed's not here today, but he developed this system, so I was going to give credit where the credit's due. It's a Google form. They go in, put their name, employee number, and then it asks them different questions. It populates everything in a spreadsheet. This is when it rolled out in November of 2021. If we go through here a little bit, it's you know how the mud flaps. There's a defect found on this one: wheels, rims, tire tread. If they have a problem, it will notify the supervisor, and the supervisor will contact the shop. And then recently, in June, we worked with the fire department, and we probably need to evolve theirs into more of a system like we have. Chris was mentioning this just yesterday with the QR code and to go in and fill it out that way. But we went through and did the fire truck daily and a fire truck weekly. This is for the firemen to complete, to go over their apparatus and, you know, make sure their lights and get underneath it, see if there's anything dripping or noticeably broke, and if they have a problem, to reach out to us. Check the tire pressure. Okay, we'll shift the gears a little bit here and talk about vehicle replacement. For this fiscal year 2024, we were funded about $1.5 million for the general fund for vehicle replacement. Here's a little bit of the breakdown. And then the enterprise funds, you'll see the funds there: street, water, rec, street lighting, 1.6 million roughly. Here's some of the amounts that we've budgeted since fiscal year 2017. You'll see some of the high numbers. That's usually, this is general fund here. That's usually when we purchased a fire truck. Really, that's what it is. And then enterprise funds. One thing to make note of here is the pricing of vehicles has gone way up. These are actual vehicles that we purchased or had in the queue to purchase in fiscal year 2022. The exact same pickup went up from $26,000 to $42,000. Same spec. Ambulances. I heard from one of the chiefs that the ambulances now, just last week he told me he heard they're going for $350,000. So he's a little more in the loop than I am on that. Patrol vehicles has gone way up. Fire pumper, I mean, I average these out 25%.
In 1 year.
In 1 year. This is the biggest increase I've ever seen. But we're all aware of what's happened the last year or two with pricing. So we've had to have request more money to continue to update our fleet. We repurpose vehicles. Generally, it seems to be about 3 a year that are lightly used vehicles. A mower here from Stormwater that cost about twice that much. In 3 years, Stormwater will buy the vehicle. In 3 years, we'll buy them another one, and then Parks General Fund will buy that from Stormwater for about $12,000.
Essentially, so what's happening here is the enterprise funds, which are more stable with the revenue stream, will purchase the brand new equipment, and then some of that selected equipment then would be repurchased by the general fund at a discounted rate, maybe after 2 or 3 years. And so it'll help save the general fund dollars by doing it this way. And we stretch the life of the vehicles then too.
Vehicle replacement flags. We have a lot of different flags that we look at. Age and miles/hours are the top 2 flags, and these flags are weighted differently. They're not equally weighted. Not every vehicle has the same flags. You'll see here that a backhoe that's leased, 1,500 hours. If it's owned, it's 5,000 hours. Ambulance, 8,000 miles. And the age, 8 years. So different criteria.
That'll help Peay make his recommendations then every year for the budget. He'll look at the collective number of flags and the weights of the flags and so forth, and it will prioritize that for him. Then he goes using his best judgment to maybe make some adjustments on that. But it's a good first blush look at what needs to be replaced and the order that they need to be replaced.
Yes, and then after I get through the list of the fleet program that helps populate through a report, I meet with each division. I'm going to meet with fire department here in 2 weeks, and we'll meet with patrol and all the different sections and talk about what their vehicle needs are. Then it goes up to Chris and Tyler Reed, Public Works. We discuss it. Eventually it goes up to city manager, and then to the city council in usually about April in a work session. We present the vehicle replacement. How much time do we have left?
About 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay. This slide is just talking about the needs that evolved. This is a 1989 brush truck that we surplused. In fact, it's all already had things stripped off to sell. What do we have now? A crew cab, bigger tank, and it's meant to go out of state to also respond to wildfires and bring in revenue. Discussion on vehicles. Do we lease? Do we purchase? We don't buy a lot of used vehicles because of the state contract pricing. We get generally a good deal on new vehicles, a really good deal, although that has evolved and changed in the last year. Buyback, we can talk about that a little bit more. There's pros to leasing and cons to leasing. Pros, it's a new vehicle. The undercover task force has been leasing vehicles now for about probably 8 years, maybe 9. They like it because they can get a different vehicle every so often. If they start, people remember it's the white F-150. Maybe it's not the white F-150 anymore. And they put a lot of miles. I've seen up to 30,000 miles in 1 year. And if we buy that vehicle, in fact, this happened before we went to this program. We had a minivan in 5 years that had over 100,000 miles on it, and didn't seem to make sense to be purchasing that when we could lease that. There's cons to leasing. There's a motorcycle that got in a pretty big accident. If you have a vehicle that you lease that's wrecked, let's say it's totaled, you have to pay out the company for that value of that whole vehicle and find a new vehicle right away, which can be challenging. This vehicle was wrecked in the spring.
You don't have insurance on it?
On all leased vehicles, we do have insurance. On purchased vehicles, $50,000 and under, we're self-insured. $50,000 in value and over, we have insurance
Do you
on.
go through state risk management?
Yeah, Irma, Morton Company. I don't know if state risk management's the right. It's Irma, Utah. What is it?
Risk Management Association.
So. On our construction equipment, the lease price in around 2018 went up to about double what we were paying. Basically, to lease a backhoe was going to cost around $15,000 a year, or we could fully fund the backhoe with a 3-year buy-back guarantee, which would interpret to around $10,000 a year. There's some of the figures. The main thing to point out is in 2018 we bought 7 backhoes, about $112,000. They had a 3-year buyback guarantee of $84,000, so the projected annual cost was just over $9,000 per year. 3 years later, we we did the same thing. We traded all 7 backhoes in. We got 7 new backhoes. The pricing went up about $4,000 here. They actually gave us a little more back on the buyback, and it went up $70. I do suspect that this next in a year and a half we'll see a bigger change because of the pricing of commodities and everything. But it's been working out well for us this far, and we even have an excavator and a loader at the treatment plant that we ended up selling and getting into this program. Managing the size of the fleet, we have to, we get new and we need to surplus the old. And so we look at there's a bunch of small equipment, get new mowers, let's get some old ones and get rid of them. Underutilized vehicles, this sweeper here was in the back and hadn't been used for years. So why do we need it anymore? This is a truck the fire department had. It was already replaced. They wanted to keep it. It ended up, they just really weren't using it. I mean, we'd fix it and put it on our fence out here for the ready line. It'd sit 2.5 months and not get used. So, I mean, we talked to fire department several times and they finally said, yeah, you're right. We don't need this vehicle. Disposal. I sell a lot of cars and vehicles through publicsurplus.com. TNT Auction up in Salt Lake helps us. Ritchie Brothers, we've used them some for some bigger equipment. They've done well for equipment. We've donated a fire truck to UVU a couple years ago. Trade in, street sweepers, jet trucks, camera trucks. There's trucks that we trade in and negotiate when we purchase a new vehicle to trade it in. We decide what we feel is the best option. And then people can do what they want with the vehicle they buy. Here, I just found this American Fork here a few weeks ago. I saw a pink Crown Vic and thought that was kind of interesting.
It's probably an old Orem police car. No, now being used by Mary Kay sales lady.
Or Barbie. New technologies to consider. Natural gas isn't really new technology anymore. Hybrid, that's 20, 25 years old now, but evolving. Plug-in hybrid, electric, there's always lots of talk about electric. They call them BEVs, or battery electric vehicles. Hydrogen, I'm hearing a little bit more whispering of hydrogen. Trial programs in California, and I feel that will be coming at some point. And then autonomous, I don't know, maybe UVU will. You hear of autonomous vehicles going on at college campuses and things that, drive themselves without a driver. Here's an analysis. This is off Ford's website on hybrid Explorers. We do have some of those in our fleet. Their projection is that it would save $2,500 in fuel a year. We found that it's not quite what they projected, but just realize that these vehicles are out there generally idling all day long because their lights are on, or they're creating reports after the accident or whatever. If it's a hybrid vehicle, there will be some cost savings in fuel. Of course, on the tail end, how long we keep the vehicle, do we surplus it before we start needing to put a battery in it, and some of the things that we'll see at the tail end of its life. That's something we need to start considering. And this is about the end of the presentation here. We're going to get a train.
It's going to look just like this,
it's
pretty much.
It's supposed to be delivered here soon, and hopefully be available for the Touch a Truck event. Is that what it is? The Halloween
Yeah, it's trunk or
treat, but it hasn't showed up yet. So if it's not here, maybe it'll be available for the lights on. Anyway, it's electric. It has about 12 deep cycle batteries in it. Be interesting, be exciting. Any questions?
So no EV vehicles yet in the
No.
city fleet?
We have a few hybrid, but we don't have any fully electric vehicles.
We'll have to consider then putting in stations for charging then as well. We do have a few at the city center. We don't have anything down here. If we go widespread on that, then there's a pretty large cost to put in those charging stations and to deploy those. So that's another outside cost that you would maybe normally think about. And if they need to be charged every day, then I don't know. We'll have to strategically look at how to do that.
We're gonna
But
look
we are
into.
looking into it.
We're gonna look into see if there's grant money available. Electric highway is one where they allow you to have chargers close to the freeway, and I mean we are right by the freeway, but then those need to be available for public, and so there's just different things that we have to go through and put the puzzle together and see how it'll best work for the city, and we're at the early stages of that. So.
Cheapest gas you can buy today is $3.39 a gallon in Pleasant Grove, just so you know. It's coming down. But
Any other questions?
There you go.
Thank you. If you would like at the end to come out and tour the shop, we're just down the hall here. But thank you for this opportunity, and quit sweating now a little bit since I've been
And thank you
prepared
for
this
the
and-
presentation. It was very good.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
there's a lot that goes into fleet. Thane does a fantastic job of managing our fleet, along with Robbie and the other mechanics, and they do an outstanding job. They have to balance what we can do in-house versus what makes better sense to outsource. And it's a time balance, it's a money balance, but I think they do a very good job at that. The next meeting that I would propose that we have would be in November, the week after Thanksgiving, and then skip December and come back maybe after in January.
Okay.
So maybe take 2 months there. I have a date of the 28th, if that works. Thanksgiving is on the 23rd, which is a Thursday, the 23rd. This would be a Tuesday, the 28th, after the holidays. Would that work for everyone?
Is that all right with everybody? Okay.
Okay. Our next meeting, we'll talk a little bit about parks and some challenges we have there. After that, we're going to start getting involved with our capital facility plan at our water reclamation facility, which this commission did see and approve and recommend to the council. The council adopted that back in January. And now we're at a point where we need to really start getting into details with a financial analysis, probably using Lewis Robertson Birmingham, formerly known as Lewis Young Robertson Birmingham, right? So it's going to be a very expensive and challenging effort that will require everyone's eyes on that, and to give a really good review and give feedback. And we're going to provide a lot of information, and we hope that you have some time available to look over some of those documents that we'll be providing to you in the near future. But I just wanted to plant that seed that's coming soon. So if the 28th works, we can schedule
Yeah.
that.
Sounds good.
Okay. Other than that, we don't have any other additional news or anything to share.
Okay. Then I guess I would recommend that we adjourn and then go out to your shop and take a look as long as you can. So,
Okay.
all right. You have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Done.
None opposed, good. I know some of you